Hello, and welcome to Title Talk in Real Estate in New York. Today we have Lauren Baptiste, a first-time home buyer with us, and she's going to talk a little bit about how she managed the stress during this whole, transaction. So, Lauren, first, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Brenda. My name is Lauren Baptiste, and I not only did I just buy a house about a month and a half ago, but I'm also a life coach and I focus on those dealing with stress and burnout. So it felt like I had to practice what I preached as I went through this process. Luckily, I had Brenda here to help me through it.
So, what makes buying a house stressful?
The one thing I think that comes up as I really synthesize it is this idea of uncertainty. While there is a process, no process is ever the same. I've spoken to friends, I've spoken to family, trying to get an understanding of like, okay, so what's next or what can I expect? It always changes. The house is always so different, the property, the what's expected of the town and all of the things that we need to do. So that was one thing I think that makes it so stressful because while I think I have some control, something can happen and then I have no control anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how were you able to manage your stress in this unique environment?
For me, what came to feel like really, empowering was to take control of the things that I had control of. While I might not be able to manage how quickly something turned around or how quickly the seller was ready to move or all these like little things of like a water well test that failed, the things that were in my control were, managing my day to day or, thinking about the positive things about the house of how would we want to furnish it or, the small things that really gave me power because otherwise, if I'm just stressed about the things that I'm not in control of, it becomes really disempowering.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. So what's something you didn't expect during the home buying process?
One thing that I've experienced, is that dates can change. I think there's a lot of us live in this world of like, I live on my calendar and maybe you're like that too. One thing is, everything is expected or estimated, but nothing is necessarily final until it's like, we're finally at that day where we're closing. So just notice that, days can be flexible and where we can be flexible throughout it, it's going to make life a lot easier and more agile. I would say always expect something, even if you have the cleanest inspection, which I was very grateful to have in the house that we got, there were still things that came up. Now that we've been here a month and a half, there are little things that are coming up. So I think the idea is just understand that there's always going to be something and to be prepared for that, either from a financial budgetary perspective, from a patient standpoint, there's always just something that we can expect.
For sure. So what are a few techniques you used to manage your personal stress throughout the process?
For me, it came to a few things. So one was creating a list. I'm a list-driven person. I know a lot of people really like lists. They like crossing things off of lists. And we even worked with an agent who was great. He gave us a whole checklist and a process, which allowed us to understand where we are in the process. I've heard some houses that sell as soon as 45 days, some that take over 90 days. So there's no perfect process of where you should be in your own, but at least it gives you some power of where are you? What are you doing? What's the list? One thing that we were able to do is even get ahead of some of these, supply chain issues and starting to order things even before we closed, which I don't necessarily recommend for everybody, but for us, it felt like something we wanted to move forward on. So lists were really helpful and taking things in small steps. The other thing that I did that was really helpful, I have a breath work and meditation practice, and I felt like I really needed it more than ever in those past few months. And even right now, as I'm still settling, it can be an ungrounding time when you walk into a house and there's no table to eat at, or you're dealing with all this change. So for me, while I felt like I wanted to pull away from some of my practices like working out or eating well, I think it's even more important to make that extra time to do those things that help you feel good.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. So what's one foolproof way to ensure success?
For me, I would say engage the right team. There's so many things that I don't know. And while I focus on the things that I know and helping my clients, right, I always tell them, who's your board of directors? So when I was buying my house, I had Langdon on my board of directors. I had an agent that I trusted on my board of directors, right? Like everybody who came together was so helpful. Any question I asked, even to my lender, was incredible, my insurance company. So knowing that, this is can be an emotional experience. This can be a stressful experience. And to know that you have people you can rely on is really make or break in I would imagine, any transaction in your life that you're going through.
Sure. The team is very important, and definitely the relaxation techniques definitely help. It helps make the closing smoother and nicer too, when you can
Absolutely.
be relaxed and, have a good, nice closing with the seller.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Lauren, for joining us. This was very informative. Everybody out there, thanks for joining us and have a great day.
Thanks so much.
Wait, I have to stop. Okay.